Thanks very much, Tim. Thanks for everyone's time. There's a number of slides in here. I won't talk to each one of them, but you can certainly contact me with any questions or follow-ups. On the last page, there's an email, and happy to respond. We describe ourselves probably as a growth opportunity and certainly an ESG impact investment. What we actually do is we cleanly convert end-of-life tyres into high-value products. Those products that are produced is a fuel. That fuel is currently being sold to asphalt plants for use in burners as a replacement to diesel, reducing the asphalt plant's costs. The recovered carbon black, is being used in the asphalt blends to create a fairly substantial improvement in asphalt blends and steel. The other product we do get out is clean gases, and those gases are hydrogen, methane and propane. We've recently received a government grant from Queensland Government to actually reuse those gases for our own energy source, which will then basically close the loop on our progress. If we go to the next slide, I just again won't read through everything, but just touching on a couple of points in here. We're certainly getting a lot of tailwinds for government policy changing in our favour. So we have a federal government that has come out basically stating in October 2020 that there's going to be a ban on the export of waste tyres, which is our feedstock into our units. Our current facility that we're at in Stapleton is gearing up for 20,000 tonne processing, and we're probably about a third to a half of the way there, and we're obviously continuing to increase our capacity by building more units. So we go to the next slide. Obviously, the snapshot of the corporate overview. Keep moving through. So typically, I just wanted to probably indicate what our thermal desorption units look like. We are the only company licensed in Australia to operate the thermal desorption process for tyres. If you look at the right-hand side of this picture, basically shredded tyres are fed into a series of ovens, which is the longer part of the process there, and we basically measure the time, temperature and turbulence that the piece of rubber passes through those ovens to produce a high-value fuel, a carbon, and steel. And we separate those three products. If we continue on. So what we do know is with government policy changing in our favour, and there's obviously a significant issue with tyres globally. We have our showcase unit here in Stapleton, and once we get that to capacity, we'll then be expanding out from there. We've had a number of opportunities with various groups to be able to look at expansion, but we're very focused at the moment on just completing what we have here at Stapleton, and then we'll continue to grow out, align with some larger entities. If we move to the next slide. Just in relation to social outcomes, obviously, you know, what we have, we received a report, an independent report, basically showing that we save 500 kilos of carbon dioxide for every tonne of tyres that we currently recycle. Obviously, we're using energy from the fuel, so the waste that we have is actually a natural resource, and we actually have significant processing facility that diverts tyres from landfill, which is obviously quite important from a government perspective. Next page is our business model. So this is what we do. We basically receive tyres. Those tyres come in, and we get paid. The model is that we get paid to receive those tyres. We shred those tyres, and we basically process those tyres through our thermal desorption unit, and we create our products, which are on the right-hand side. Currently, we are at level 1 products. However, everything on the level 2 side, where we've converted to activated carbon, we've created solvents from the fuels, has all been completed. So all the testing has been completed, and we're now looking at commercial viability of those particular products. Why are we doing that? So as an example, currently, if we're selling our fuel between 50 to 60 cents a litre as an example, by moving into fractionation of the fuels that we produce, typically through a normal refining process, that value would increase to somewhere to $2 to $2.50 per litre. So there's significant uplift in the level 2 products. If we continue on. I won't touch on this, I've really explained this. As I said, you can contact me later, so I know everyone's short for time. I've mentioned the products that we produce. What's interesting about these products is the process that we run is not done at very high temperature. So this is not pyrolysis that's gone before us. This is thermal desorption, and what that means, it runs at very low temperature. If you run at very low temperature, what generally happens with the products that are produced, they are of high value. So as an example, I mentioned our fuel. It's being used as a replacement for diesel. However, if we take it to another fraction, we actually create solvents, which then becomes a degreaser. So there's a number of aspects as to why we have chosen to create the units as we have. Secondly, what you'll notice about the units themselves on the left-hand side is they are quite small and modular. So if we need to transport them, it's basically in a 40-foot sea container. We pick the machines up, and then we deal with them at site. So as an example, if we were to do campaigns, say in the Pilbara, wherever, we can actually move the machines around. Because the tyre issue is so large, typically these plants, when we establish them, will remain stationary. We continue on. Thanks, Tim. So just in relation to our partnerships, we have one cornerstone investor, which is Rock Partners. They hold around 20% of our company. They're very supportive of what we're doing, and certainly from an expansion perspective. Rock have been great to work with. Capricorn, also an early investor. Capricorn are cooperative with 18,000 automotive members, and they made an investment in Pearl to look at using those solvents that I was talking about in the fuels to create those into degreasers and then distribute those degreasers out to its members. Aussie Road Services Agreement, I'll speak about obviously a very good partnership we have with these guys, which is in the asphalt industry, and I'll touch on that as we continue through. I won't touch on this too much, just to say that this is the secondary products that we're talking. We've created obviously solvents. We're in a project at the moment. We've been given a government grant to convert our gas to energy on site, which will obviously be a significant saving, but more importantly, close the loop on the waste to energy. If we continue on. So what we're doing is obviously we have new products that need to be sold because this is a new technology in relation to the commercial sales. So the fuel is quite unique. The carbon is quite unique. Steel, obviously very general. With the fuels, what we've found is that we've been able to provide a replacement to diesel for burners. So they use that as energy and heat. So as an example, in the asphalt industry, we are providing that into Oztech. We've now had another agreement with the Stanley Group, and we expect quite soon to be able to announce a couple of other larger groups as well. The carbon itself goes into the asphalt, and it's actually enhancing the performance of the asphalt. It's stiffer, it's stronger, it has better colouring. So we're not only actually just recycling a product into asphalt, and this is not crumb rubber, this is our recovered carbon black, then we're actually getting a better asphalt from that process. The plant that we're delivering to currently for the asphalt is actually 65% more environmentally friendly than any other asphalt plant in Australia for the purpose that they're using our fuel as a recovered product and our carbon. So quite a good story. If we continue on. I won't touch too much on this. We've had very much some very strong success in asphalt that's been laid, Moreton Bay being one. We've also had Tom Tate, the Mayor of Gold Coast, sprouting the praises of the carbon and the fuel being used. So in essence, 10 tyres per tonne is what's being consumed for asphalt being laid. So for every 1 tonne of asphalt, 10 tyres are being used in the process. Really good story. If we continue on, I'll skip the board. I know everyone's running a little bit late, so we'll skip the board guys. So on the timeline, so just to, I suppose, it has been a long gestation period for us. We have 3 years of data. It's very new, obviously, as far as the market is concerned. However, you know, we've been proving this up and being well under all emission requirements from EPA for the last 3 years. If you're allowed to emit the number 10, we emit 2, so it's extremely low. So it is certainly the best available technology that we do have. As far as if we go to the investment highlights, page 19. So what we know there's a massive tyre problem. We know that there's a massive addressable market for our products, which is what we've been developing in the last sort of 6 months. We provide a real solution to what we're doing. We have government support and we have policy changing. And I think that's quite important. So the ban that's coming at the 1st of December 2021 has been announced by the federal government, banning on tyres, is only going to cause greater headaches for Australia. We have the solution. We're establishing ourselves as a site in Stapleton as our showcase, and then it'll be expansion out to there quite rapidly. And hopefully that covers what needs to be covered, Tim.
Thanks, Gary. I mean, a major problem and a fantastic innovation. So congratulations. So what happens globally at the moment in terms of the tyre problem? Is it the same as what happens in Australia? Is there solutions globally as well?
We haven't found anything that sort of compares to what we have, although there are other solutions around. So a lot of the tyres are being used for overseas, used for crumb. What's happening in Australia is that we're exporting tyres at the moment under a certain export code, and those tyres are being used basically for energy. So put into cement kilns and then used as energy to get the fuel out of them. However, with policy changing, and certainly in Europe, everyone is looking for these solutions. So if I can give you an example of some of the larger waste management companies that we have in Australia, Cleanaway, Remondis, Veolia, all of them collect waste streams except for tyres. And the reason why they don't collect tyres is they don't know where to put them, what's going to be the end result. What we're able to do now is to be able to provide this solution, create fuels, carbon and steel. And as we say here in Queensland, we're taking Queenslanders' tyres and we're putting them back into Queensland roads. So that's what we have.
And so you've got a Queensland plant. How do you achieve scale? You said this machinery or equipment is fairly mobile. How do you achieve scale and grow around the country to start with?
Yeah. So what we have is the alliances we're talking with at the moment are larger groups that are looking for solutions in a number of areas. So if we look at, obviously unable to mention the names, but if we take councils as an example, every council has a landfill and every council has a tyre issue. So basically what we're able to do is tie up with certain groups to be able to co-locate on those particular sites that are already existing, already have licensing. We come on, we can process there and continue. A little bit different up north of Queensland. So we've been asked to look at a project up in Mackay, which is in the middle of pretty much the Bowen Basin, where a number of mining tyres, lots of issues there. And again, we have been asked to, I suppose, partner with a number of these groups that are already existing, that are much larger than ourselves, that have multiple sites. And we're looking at how we can actually co-locate on existing sites that are already sort of in the waste management side.
And from a, just finally, and from a financial perspective, you're paid to dispose of these tyres or convert these tyres into other products. You get paid at the product level as well. And where's kind of the best margin there?
Yeah, we do. So we get paid, it does vary, but we get paid anywhere from $300 to $500 a tonne to receive the tyres in. So as a gate fee, if you like. We then sell our products out. It can be with the fuel, which is about 40% of our production from the tyre, anywhere between 50 to 60 cents a litre. Our carbon is anywhere between $20 a tonne to $100 a tonne. The steel, we get about $50 to $80 a tonne. So we don't actually have any waste streams, and we get paid, basically we now have established those markets for the sale of those particular products. Currently, we're probably around about 4 to 5 months behind where we'd like to be. However, we'll be catching up in the next 6 to 9 months. We expect to be humming by then.